Welcome back to Living Vividly. I'm Jackie Headage, your health coach.
I'm Daphne Olivier, the unconventional dietitian.
Today's episode is about balance, the push and the pull, the intensity and the stillness. We're sitting down with Abby and Jared, a couple that lives on both sides of that spectrum. Jared is a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt, deeply rooted in discipline, pressure, and performance. Abby is a sound practitioner working with frequency, stillness, and the nervous system. At first glance, these worlds couldn't feel more different, but together they create something really powerful. In a world where we're constantly overstimulated, stressed, and reaching for the next distraction, this conversation is about what it actually looks like to slow down, regulate, and show up for yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. Let's get into it.
Nice. Thanks for being here, y'all.
Thank y'all for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, the dichotomy seems very couldn't be more different, I think, between the two of you. So I'm interested in digging into this a little bit more.
Sure.
Yeah, and like how y'all bring out, like how you balance each other.
They definitely work in tandem.
I believe, 100%.
I'm gonna let Jared lead off because he's better off the cuff.
Like you said, the balance and the keeping things, the dichotomy between the two is that it's very much a yin to the yang. And while a lot of people associate Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, mixed martial arts, with violence, I'm probably one of the least violent people that you'll meet. It's not like violence is something that we actively seek out. It's just a byproduct of what we do. A lot of people find their quiet and in peace. Some people find quiet in yoga. Some people find quiet in art. We just happen to find our stillness in the chaos of violence, and not malicious violence either. It's raw, when you're trying to, whenever it's jiu-jitsu, you're trying to strangle another human being into submission or joint lock them. There is a level of violence that goes along with that, a level of brutality. But it's one of those things where people who are we find that people who are very well versed in the art of violence and the art of brutality are sometimes some of the most peaceful people. Why? Because they know what that's like. Whereas people who aren't familiar with those worlds like to put off like they are as a as a chest puffing mechanism. Like, look at me. I don't have to say look at me. I know what I'm fully capable of, and I'm content with that. Most of the time, the people that talk the loudest, it's not out of confidence, it's out of fear. And I have no problem, being violent, but I'll also choose not to. I'm a big believer in that. That the fact that I am well versed in violence does make me a peaceful person.
Well, I guess it kind of gives you an outlet too.
It
like
does.
When you
It
have
does.
that, we were talking about kickboxing earlier. When you have that
Like pent up rage a little bit.
rage, then you have an outlet that's a little bit more structured. So I went to a jiu-jitsu competition. I was going to say conference. I'm like, that's definitely right. Competition a couple of years ago, and I ended up, I was like, I can't stay here. This is way too much for me. It's overstimulating. It's a lot. Can you tell us, break down what jiu-jitsu is?
It's funny. I talked with my students before I left the gym this morning. Jiu-jitsu at its essence is just trying to off-balance an opponent to where you have them off-kilter. Once they're off-kilter, you pretty much try and control their center mass, which is their body. And once you've controlled their center mass and you have them on the ground or you're on the feet, then you start to work on the peripherals, the legs, the neck, and the arms. Once you're controlling the center mass, which is the core, then you can start to isolate those peripherals, the arms, the neck, the legs, and then you submit once you've isolated and controlled those peripheral limbs at that point.
So the goal is to take control of another person.
Yes.
Okay.
The cute way of putting it that I tell a lot of beginners is I'm trying to fold clothes while you're still wearing them. Is basically what we're doing. Yeah.
And do you win when they just say
When
uncle?
they tap out.
Okay.
When they tap out. And that's what makes jiu-jitsu different than a lot of other martial arts, is the fact that we are able to go to full speed and we have that safety mechanism, which is the tap out. I can go full speed like I am trying to kill you, but as soon as you tap out, boop, I hit the off switch and it's over, and we laugh about it and we slap hands and we keep it going. We do it all over again.
And then we're on the totally other side, sound practitioner. Among you're like the jack of all trades. But I love the difference. So whenever have you always done sound therapy?
So Jared and I have been together 19 years?
2007, yeah,
19 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I met him, I met him once at Reds through a friend. And then I met him at the beach in Florida. We were at the beach
Definitely not here.
at the same time. And he was doing jiu-jitsu. He was a white belt. It just so happened that a friend of mine's husband is Tim Crater, who's the first Louisiana black belt. So when he said I do jiu-jitsu, I'm like, under who? You know, like, okay. And like, I think just me knowing what jiu-jitsu was, he was kind of like, question mark. He was a white belt at the time. Now he's a third degree black belt.
Yeah.
And he's owned a business and he runs another business. And it's been when I first met him, I didn't know what any of that stuff. Like, I knew jiu-jitsu because of Tim, but like UFC and fighting, I was getting into because Tim was about to get on the TV show, The Ultimate Fighter. So he was on season 7 of The Ultimate Fighter. And that's when I really started to understand the sport. He had been doing it a while. Fast forward this many years, and as I can see in our life, the lessons that he gets on the mat and the things that he works out on the mat translates to our lives in so many different ways. He is like mental chess all the time because of like he's always anticipating the next steps. And so
my husband always says that we need to be able to see 2 moves ahead.
It's true. So he's been doing it so long that like he's always looking. It's like, if I can't get this leg, I'm gonna go for the neck. And so he's always 3 steps ahead, and he's always like, I will go into a new place and he's looking for the exits. He is like a scanner. That's just his
I'm sure
baseline.
that feels very safe to be around somebody like that.
I feel very safe all the time. So I've grown with the sport with him through this whole time and got to see him go from white belt to 3rd degree black belt. It's pretty amazing. You know, he goes to like California and trains there's a lineage, right, of like jiu-jitsu practitioners, and it starts with Gracie's basically. And there's like 5 people down the lineage. That's where he got his black belt from. And he visits him. He's from Brazil. Is he in Pacific Beach?
He's in Pacific Beach.
Rodrigo Medeiros, and he's pretty, you know, in that world, he's a big deal. And so like Jared goes over there and everybody like shakes. I'm like, wow, it's such a niche thing, but it's interesting to see, reflecting on it, how far he's come in the sport and what he's done for the sport. He's probably taught over thousands of people defensive, and a lot of people, and so for free they offer for police officers to go and learn, because it's way more effective the way that they take down people than to just pull out a taser or, you know, something that somebody could get really hurt. Or if you're dealing with like some type of people that are nonverbal, or if you have some kind of really crazy out of jiu-jitsu is the best way to like neutralize the situation. So like to see him to go from being a white belt, and I went to every single one of his tournaments, every single one of his competitions, to see him go from that to where he is today is just like amazing to me, because it's really, he's done a lot in a short time. And I think the way that the sport's grown, it's just like, you can see, it's palpable. You can see it here. Like 20 years ago, jiu-jitsu, there's like 9 jiu-jitsu schools in Lafayette, and they're all of the coaches are from the same lineage. So it's all stemming from the same teachers, which the martial art, the integrity, the being loyal, the owning yourself, teaching yourself a craft, something that it can be a team sport because you do with other people, but it's very individualistic, really translates to the things that I do. And I didn't start my spiritual journey until 2018. So he was well on his way. We were very much jiu-jitsu oriented, you know, everything martial arts in his realm. And then whenever I found my jiu-jitsu, I found my thing, they intertwined so well because of just the actual basis and the core of the two, of being a better person, of having integrity, of showing up, of working through your hard things, of facing the hard things. And with him, we've had some very difficult things happen in the last 20 years. I feel like we're able to maneuver it in a way that's effective and healing because of his training on the mat, his ability to roll with the punches, his ability to pivot whenever things are just wild, you know, which I feel like probably since COVID, it's kind of felt that way. And he's just solid rock through it all.
There's a special kind of magic to being able to thrive in chaos.
It's kind of like emergency room doctors. Like,
yeah.
It's like, that's what I kind of liken it to.
You
like,
can't get frazzled.
Right. It's chaotic, but that's where they thrive. And that's what I see in him and in a lot of his students. And the way that that sport, I think with anything so niche, there's a lot of off breaks, and that sport can be perceived as very egotistical, very self-centered, macho, grandiose, alpha male. And I think he's breaking the stigma in that, because it's like, leave your ego at the door. If you come in and you're all jacked up and you think like you've never learned any type of martial art, and you come in here and you think you're going to like punch me to a pulp, like, you're sadly mistaken. So it's just like being able to be the owner of your own navigation. It's just.
So do you think that's jiu-jitsu, or do you like as a sport, or do you think it's just fine-tuning who you are as a person and finding yourself as a person?
Yes.
Because I think that,
You have to have the right mindset
know,
to be able to, or you have to want.
I don't know jiu-jitsu.
Right.
I know of it, but I've not gotten into that world. But I think that whenever you've been in something for that long of a period of time, that you've kind of dedicated yourself to it, that there's a special ownership of yourself that you start to develop, because you become more and more comfortable with yourself and who you are in the world and the people around you, and that comfort level. So I don't know if it's jiu-jitsu or if it's just
The person finding their thing.
Yeah, getting so involved in something that it makes you
like you have you have to self-reflect.
Yeah, it makes you more comfortable with who you are and the position that you stand in the world and the people around you, rather than being reactive. You can be more proactive to just. You have to reflect on all the things that you do all the time, to be able to stand and to know who you are, which I feel like so many people, and what I do with interviewing people constantly all the time, and as part of my work, people, even at first I thought it was, as you get older, you become more comfortable with who you are in
Also
life, but I don't necessarily think that's true. I see many people who are well into 4 and 5, 6 decades, and they're still kind of lost with not sure who they are. So not to take anything away from jiu-jitsu, but I think that having knowing who you are and knowing what you've dedicated yourself to, whether it's jiu-jitsu or sound healing and sound meditation, or like many other sports, it just helps to fine-tune you so that you understand who you are and what you represent in the world around you.
Yes.
Where you become like the sun and things move around you, versus you're just like flailing around, in all the chaos of life.
All the molds. You're just like, This is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is how we're going to handle this situation. Just that quiet power.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that.
And I think now that you're saying it, stringing it together, I think that can be said of probably both of the things that we do, plus other things, like he said, art and different other ways of, maybe dancers and artists, other ways of expressing yourself. I think the part at the center has to be that integral, you sit with yourself. Because if you're training jiu-jitsu and you have a guy that's trying to choke you, and they're doing everything they can to choke you, you're doing everything you can't get out of it, you're sitting with yourself. You're sitting with yourself for a minute, like, are you breathing? Or there's different things that he tells them that they can do to really own your power. I feel the same way with the things that I do, is a lot of it with the sound meditation. I believe that people that find it hard to sit with themselves, or sit with their thoughts, or sit with their shadow self, or sit with literally anything that's uncomfortable, because we are so trained these days to not sit. Very much uncomfortable things, push away. Like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. I can turn it off. I can turn this way. I can go look at something else.
Easily distract yourself.
So to be able to do that, I think that lends to what you're saying. I think in whatever you do, if you are able to sit with yourself in quiet, sit with your thoughts, that makes me uncomfortable. Why? Why does that make me uncomfortable? Those are the things. With sound meditation, I believe that it's so hard for us to sit with ourselves. It's really hard for people to meditate because it's quiet. There's nothing going on. You have your thoughts, and then you start thinking about your grocery list and whatever. With sound meditation, you have something to listen to, and it's passive. It's like passively meditating. But at the same time, you have these different instruments tuned to different frequencies that affect your brainwave state, which, when you affect the brainwave states in different ways, you can slow your heart rate, you can slow your thinking, you can speed it up, you can give yourself a panic attack. Like, all of these things are in tandem. And I think that lends a lot to what you just said. Like, you have to be able to sit with the hard things.
Can you tell us how your spiritual journey came to be?
Sure. So it was 2018. I was what did they write in my chart? Geriatric pregnancy, I think.
Maybe. I love that.
I was
term.
35. I had my daughter. So then I was 37. She was 2. I had postpartum depression. Lost myself. Didn't know up from down. It was difficult. I was having a hard go. He had just opened when we tried to have our daughter for 2 years. We thought we weren't gonna be able to have a baby. He had an opportunity to open Gliders Academy in Breaux Bridge. We were like, this will be our baby. Let's open it. We literally open it in May. I get pregnant in June. I have hypermesis gravidarum, so I'm like super sick, vomiting the whole time, like pretty much bedridden for like 9 months. Super depressive episodes. So now she's 2 years old. He's working till like 9 o'clock at night. I'm by myself a lot, except my parents come and help a lot, and his parents help. So his mom offered to watch my daughter 1 day a week so I could go to yoga. So this was probably in the spring of 2018. Well, the December that just passed, my sister-in-law, who passed away 5 years ago, she gave me a Tibetan singing bowl for Christmas. And she was like, I just felt like you needed to have something like this. And I was like, I feel like I'm going to conjure spirits with that thing. That thing's going to sit on my shelf, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at it. It's pretty. So like I'm scrolling, looking for a yoga class because my mother-in-law said she'll watch Lucy for me. So like I'm looking to see who's teaching yoga at Reds that day. I'm like, ooh, I don't really like her music. So I'm looking on Facebook, like maybe there's another yoga class. And I've never seen this on Facebook before. I saw an event and it had a picture of Tibetan singing bowls. And I was like, what are the odds of it? I've literally never seen that. And it said sound bath tonight at 6 o'clock, only 6 spaces, call ASAP for your spot. And I was like, I think I'm going to go try that. I didn't even know what it was. I just saw a Tibetan singing bowl. I knew I had one. I was like, I don't know, maybe I should go try this out.
It feels like the stars are aligning at that point.
1000%. I call the woman. She tells me, no, it's full, but let me take your name down in case anybody cancels. But I'll tell you, if you're not here by 6, I'll lock the door. You can't come in. She's like, because it's like a meditation. You're going to like ruin everybody's time if you come in late. And I'm like, okay, who's perpetually late? So like, oh, that's not scary. Okay, cool. So, but I was like, nobody's going to back out. She calls me at like 5:15. Someone backed out. The space is for you. It was meant for you. That's what she said. Never met her. Don't know her. Never heard of her. Race to my mother-in-law's house, drop off Lucy. When I tell you I get to the place, it's off University, a beautiful garden. It actually even won like, they have the Acadiana garden, whatever, guard of the month. Okay, guard of the month. Beautiful, beautiful little place. I go to open the door. I hear the thing click. And then she opens the door. She's dressed in all white. And she goes, Abby. Like I had known her 1,000 years. And I'm like, oh my God. I just like absolutely, it's like I had known her for decades. I didn't know what a sound bath was. I didn't know what to do, what to bring. She was like, lay down, just lay down. Just go and lay down and close your eyes. What I experienced in that hour was, I can't even put it into words. It was so deep. It was so, it just affected me so much that right after that class ended, I said, sign me up for once a week for the next 2 years. And she was like, I would love to, but I'm selling everything I own and I'm moving to Portugal in 10 months.
Wow.
And I said, who else does this around here? And she was like, nobody trained. And I said, show me everything you know before you leave. And that's what I did. And we became very good friends. But in that time, I learned everything. We actually spent I spent 2 years learning from her. I actually went to Portugal for 19 days, visited her, learned from her gong master. I messaged her this morning. We became friends. It changed the trajectory of my life in ways that it opened doors to people that I didn't even know existed in this area that I had been grappling with, like in high school. Like I kind of like tarot cards and like was looking at, I remember going in Barnes and Noble, look at the rune section, but feeling super Catholic guilt about it because you're like not supposed to look at that stuff. And I go to Catholic school, nobody talks about it. Nobody was into the stuff I was into. So I already felt like a weirdo. So for it to open up the doors to these people, this whole cachet of people who are doing wonderful things in Acadiana, news people that put on the drum circles. I mean, artists, therapists, Paul Bosworth, like people that are doing things for the community that are really helping the community and helping people to see like there's these other alternative things that aren't meant to grab every penny from you. You can look for alternative things that can help you in your life that medical professionals might not tell you about. Like you can go look for these alternative things, like go sit in a sound session, see what it makes you feel like. Does it make you feel better and walk around like a different person? Maybe you should go to those once a week. Try it out. Just see if it helps.
Yeah, there's a whole underground work of people doing things that are not, they're not advertised. They may or may not be charging for it. It may be just their passion project. It may be the thing that makes them feel good, and so they just want to share it with the people around them. There's a whole underground working of those sort of things.
It's coming up to the surface, though.
Yeah.
I think because our generation, we're starting to really, like, this is really helpful. I know Dr. May Ray, she's at MD Anderson. It's not Tibetan singing bowls, but she's a professor of neurosurgery and also a concert pianist. And she has these incredible studies on how music affects our health and our body. They're doing these studies where they're playing music in surgery and with cancer patients and how it's helping heal their pain. And
100%. And that's ancient knowledge. They had rooms built in Egyptian pyramids that whenever they studied them, it's whenever sound waves hit the walls, it's made for sound. There's a table in the middle of the room, so it was like a healing table, or maybe like make them powerful table. I don't know, but it affects you. Sound affects you, just like they use sound waves to break up kidney stones.
Mm-hmm.
Just like they play music for Alzheimer's patients, old music that might trigger certain parts. It's proven. There's science. Like, I just tell people, don't even worry about the scientific part. Just go see how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Just go lay down for a sound. If you are like, man, I really wish I could meditate. I really wish I could get into myself and work on some inner stuff, or I just feel like I need to relax. My mind's real janky right now. Just go lay down and listen to these sounds and see how it makes you feel after.
Yeah, because the reality is that, research or not, I mean, I know there's a lot of research behind it, but even if there's not research, if you go and something makes you feel good, it uplifts you, it allows your brain to slow down a little bit. We don't need the research behind it, honestly.
Right.
I mean,
experience speaks for itself.
100%.
I really want to get into how these two worlds kind of collide, but my own experience, I have that crazy monkey brain that I cannot slow down. My brain.
I think everyone has that brain.
Like 75 tabs open.
Yeah. It's just constant going. And I hate meditating because of it, because I always have felt like a failure with the meditation. And I've done a couple sound baths, and I'm going through my grocery list. I'm thinking about all the things. But even in my day-to-day life, I'm very stressed out. And I find a lot of people, after a long, hard day, we numb out to TV. We listen to loud music. We do all these things that are still stimulating our minds. And I started listening to handpan music.
Yeah.
And just lo-fi, things that are very slow. And whether or not I'm actively listening to them or passively, my nervous system, oh my God.
It's affecting your parasympathetic nervous system, whether you know it or not.
I have it going almost all the time now, and I am a better person.
100%.
Just having that slow, I don't know what it's doing in there, but
it's doing something.
So what it's really doing, like on a scientific level, is that different sounds play at different hertz. And your brain, you have different brainwave states, and the hertz levels are so they have like theta, delta, alpha.
All of his songs are like 1,111 hertz and 999. I've always wondered what that was.
And like there are things called binaural beats, which like if you play a beat in one ear and you play a different beat in another ear, that's a different hertz. Your brain makes up the difference of those hertz. So like if it's like 4 hertz and 2 hertz, then minus. So then it's 2 hertz. So your brainwaves, when you're like alpha brainwave state, beta brainwave state, brainwaves are very quick moving. Whenever you slow down the hertz and you slow down, your parasympathetic system your heart rate gets lower. You start to relax, your breathing gets slower, and the brainwave state starts doing like this. And in theta and delta brainwave states and REM, you heal. Your body heals. They put people into comas on purpose to let their bodies heal. That's exactly what's happening. So when you force yourself to get into those states, because how often are we getting into those states on a daily basis? Not unless you're actively doing it.
Yeah.
But if you
just
actively
at night,
do
whenever you're like that moment when you're falling asleep.
That's exactly. So that whenever you're about to fall asleep and then you wake up and you're like, wait, was I sleeping? You got down to that state. You got down to a delta theta brainwave state. Your brain got so slow, you fell asleep and then you woke up. Oh, wait. What, did I just
is that
fall
your
asleep?
nervous system like jolting you up? Because that happens to me all the time.
Yeah. It's the science is there. They have blood tests of like they'll do someone's blood work. It has red blood cells. You can see the red blood cells on the screen. They're clumpy. The edges are kind of rigid. Whenever they clump together and they can't move together freely like they're dancing, that's when you start to feel like, ooh, like my shoulder kind of hurts. Start to feel pain, start to feel little aches. Then they played 20 minutes of gongs. Then they redid blood work, and the red blood cells were nice and round and flowy and dancing. And that it feels like a massage from the inside, basically, is what I like. And it's all, you do all the things after you get a massage, all the things that you would do, like have a lot of water, try to stay off of screens, take an Epsom salt bath. It's a massage from the inside. It massages you on the cellular level from the inside with sound.
We can do this just at home. I mean,
yes.
Obviously a sound bath is much more in depth and involved, but just on a daily basis to allow ourselves to slow down. I talk to people a lot about, I feel like sleep is the foundation of wellness. Like that's kind of even more so than nutrition, which is hard for me to say. It used to be hard for me to say. Now it feels very normal. But so talk to people about like what their evening routine is. And most people are like, I don't know.
Instagram.
I don't have an evening routine. Yeah. Or I'm sitting on my phone until I like crash.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I'll often bring up. Like, if we can involve all the senses, like some kind of lavender, something that you smell, something that you're listening to, dim the lights, all those things that we can, make sure you're wearing comfy clothes, silk, I guess that's why silk became popular. But to be able to involve your senses so that it does put your brain in a state of rest and relaxation so that you can crawl into bed and you can fall asleep and you're not, go, 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 go. And then now you lay down and it takes me an hour to fall asleep. Well, that's because your brain needs that time to unwind. Yeah. And so music is one of the things that you can use pretty regularly.
Absolutely.
How do these worlds collide?
So like I've had 2 sound baths at his gym so far. Well, I think I had one at the old gym, but I think that there's a lot of, if you had a Venn diagram of people, I feel like a lot of people would fall into the same Venn diagram without even realizing it, right? So I feel like people that are trying to they're in martial arts for something. If you join martial arts, you are in there, you're looking for something. You might find yourself there, right? I feel like if you already go in with an intent into something like jiu-jitsu, to get to know yourself better or to better yourself or to find something out about yourself, those people are the same people that I would like to give sound baths to because they're already open-minded about whatever it is. I've done sound baths at the gym and opened it up to gym people. We've I think our first sound bath we had almost 40 people on the mat.
God.
Wow.
But in that it's all experimenting, right? So it's like that was the first time I ever did a sound bath in a essentially it's a huge warehouse with a mat with a big air conditioner. So it's like, was it the best sound bath they've ever had? Probably not, because it's like the first one we had, and like acoustics and taking all that into consideration. But I would recommend something like a 6 to 8 person little small group session, which I feel like a lot of his people would even be into. Look, it's just like the worlds overlap so much more than you think because of what they're looking for and being open-minded about it, no matter what walk of life you come from. So I feel in that sense, but also just like the thing about the chess, that like being a couple steps ahead, like that's how pretty much people that I know that do jiu-jitsu think, like because they're trained to think that way. And so if you're already thinking about next steps of things, then, and you're open-minded about, maybe I'd like to sit with myself and see why I get angry when this is said, or why I get upset when this is done to me, or why I lash out at my kids, or why I'm angry at work. Or if you're willing to go sit with yourself and do some type of work, this is a very passive way to get into it and start and just find out about yourself, which I feel as jiu-jitsu, as a martial art, a lot of it is finding out what's deep inside. So I think that they do cross over. And he comes to my sound baths. He falls asleep and he snores and it distracts me. But even if you're sleeping, even if you're sleeping, the effects still work on you because you're still getting that. So
just remind me that if I were to go to one tonight, next to
wear your CPAP, have your CPAP machine,
be on the other side of the room so I don't hear him snoring.
But I think that our two worlds, I think they overlap more than a normal person would see on the outside because of just the innate purpose behind them are kind of the same, which I think we could probably find in a lot of different things.
I think what they both have in common is they both force you to be in the now. Whenever you're in there for the sound bath, you're kind of forced there to meditate and sit in your thoughts. There's nothing else to distract you. In jiu-jitsu, whenever somebody's trying to choke you or break your arm, you're forced to address that immediately. You cannot think about other things. That is what's most important. And we tell people jiu-jitsu is almost like an hour of therapy on the mat. Things that were bothering you maybe before you stepped in the class, after you have a couple, 2 or 3 rounds of somebody trying to choke you, trying to choke somebody else, you kind of realize, that really wasn't a problem, or you kind of start to the brain has a weird way of kind of figuring it out for you while you're not thinking about it. Much the way we figured out problems, like you said, in sleep being the base of wellness. That's I also think, just like anything, what's weird is that I know we were both, I think it was sick, and we were supposed to do this podcast earlier. We're ever changing as well, and the conversations and the thoughts of everything that we would have maybe had 2 and 3 months ago are radically different now, as they should be, right? I'm not here to tell you that everybody that comes to jiu-jitsu is looking for themselves. We very much still have to weed out bullies and selfish people. It's a sport that is very selfish. I try not to be, but there's sometimes whenever I'm selfish. I was getting ready for a competition last year where I did have to focus on me, but there are also people that kind of take it a step further and think that everything revolves around them and their needs, and they have no sense of what really being part of a community is, because in their mind, community is everybody serves me, and that's not the case. It's always I serve the greater whole of the community. We do have students that come to us, and if everything wasn't exactly what they wanted, they're going to bitch and moan and say, well, everybody says that. No, not everybody. It's just you. You're the problem. And, I'm not going to sidestep and say that, we're all kumbaya in jiu-jitsu, just like I've seen it in sound baths where you do have, and, she might not call it out, but I do, where you have individuals that get involved in sound bath just as a means to try and meet and sleep with women.
That does all. I mean, I think
it's and it's part of our duty as the shepherds within those groups to weed those people out, to protect the true community, not the community of yourself. And
I guess jiu-jitsu kind of gives you it's an easy platform for you to tell somebody exactly what you see it as, from being the master. Is that the right word? That's not the right word.
Yeah, I just call myself coach. Some people say sensei, professor. I'm not. I don't think of even though I am a 3rd degree black belt. I'm still no better than that white belt that starts on the first day, because my neck's going to choke just the same as their will. And I tell people this all the time. I know black belts that are pieces of shit that I wouldn't trust my family with. I know white belts that couldn't submit a wet paper bag, and I would call on them. I would call on them if I was out of town. Can you go check on my wife and daughter? Skill set has no correlation to how you are as a human being, and I think that's a fact that a lot of people miss. Not just in jiu-jitsu, but I see it in a bunch of different things. Is that somebody's good at this? I'm sure y'all probably see it a lot of times, and probably what y'all do too. Just because you're a great marketer or great at what you do or your job does not make you a good person. I'm sure there are plenty of people that have tens of millions of dollars, but that they're miserable people.
Are you saying that you don't think that people in the health and wellness space are all good people?
Charlatans, wolves in sheep's clothing.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that there'd be somebody out there just trying to make money off of health and wellness.
And because it's not regulated.
I see it, especially within the microcosm of jiu-jitsu or martial arts, it was right around COVID too, where you had these people coming out and like, we're the marketing gurus. We know everything. Let us walk you through how to survive shutting your school down during the pandemic. And like, you see all these people that are desperate, they are searching, and they do have good hearts. And they're like, oh my God, yes, yeah, I will show you how to walk through it. We have the system you can follow. Just, hey, look, one easy payment, $3.99. We're going to walk you through it.
Because they have the experience of shutting down
during a
pandemic.
Exactly. I took a step back and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? What other pandemic have you been through?
Right.
What pandemic did I miss? And it's like, wow. And I was like, a fool and his money do soon part ways, right? And I am not, my personality, and I say my spirit doesn't really jive with the hustler mentality. I've been to martial arts summits, conferences, where I've been laughed at in a room full of people. Why? They were asking people, how much do you want your martial arts gym to gross a year? 5 million, 10 million. And I said, my time came. And they were like, really? Probably somewhere between 150 and 200,000. That's all I need. And they were like, oh, there's always that one guy. And I was like, that one guy for what?
The one who's happy.
My bills are paid. I have more time. And it's like, well, you could be making more. I sure could, but I don't want to. Why? Because I don't want to deal with that headache. You're out here worrying about calling a client 5 seconds after they opt into your website because you don't want to lose a lead. I got news for you. If I'm going to lose you because I don't respond to you right away, you can get fucking going, because you're just going to be a bigger problem down the road. What happens whenever I don't respond because I'm at my daughter's school function? You going to leave me then?
Yeah.
I ain't got time for that bullshit. I'm sorry. I don't, and I know I'm getting way off base here, but it kind of reveals who you are. It reveals your character. You can only hide it for so long before who you really are comes to light. And I think that's the same thing with what she does too, with the sound practitioner, where sooner or later, like whenever you're so far off of the path that people are like, what the fuck are you doing? Like everybody has that built in, bullshit meter. And whenever you've been doing things for as long as she has, or I have, we see it all the time. A new person pops up. It's like, oh yeah, we do this. And we have bowls. Who did you get certified under? Because we know we know the people, like, it's like Jiu Jitsu. It's like, oh yeah, okay, Jiu Jitsu is really easy to follow. Who's your lineage? Where'd you train? Everybody knows everybody in this community.
Mm-hmm.
You can't hide, and it reveals who you are as a person. And sometimes people like who that person is, and other times they don't. And, it is what it is.
Well, I think it's so important that we surround ourselves with people with the right intentions and integrity. And I mean, I have a really good bullshit meter, and I think most people don't, but
Wow.
It's so important to align yourselves with, okay, I'm in this for the right reasons. I'm not trying to get $5 million. We're in such a, my husband and I call it not a scamming society, but what's it called? A grifter.
Mm-hmm.
It's a grift society right now. Like everyone's just trying to like sell something. It's always a course. It's always something. And
we're exhausted.
We're tired of being sold to.
We're all numb to it. So that genuine love and passion for what you do, like, I'm really doing this to help you, I think people can feel that.
And
the problem I run into that though with is not necessarily a problem, but it's like we've been grifting for so long that it's getting harder for us to disseminate. Whenever somebody pure does come along, you're like, well, okay.
What are you selling?
Yeah. Always. And
always skeptical.
It's between that and I teach age ranges from 3 years old up to my oldest student he was on the mat with me this morning. He's 76, right? And I teach everything in between. And probably the hardest group to get through to right now is that age of probably say 16 to about 25, 26.
Hallelujah. I believe it. I believe it.
50, and the reason why is that they were the first group to kind of grow up where if they wanted something, they don't have to wait. And it's what's amazing to us is that Abby can order something off of Amazon and it'll be at the house before the end of the day. That's crazy to us. That's normal to them. That's expected of them. And they expect everybody to be operating on that level. They don't have the wherewithal, the patience to understand that sometimes you do have to work for something, and you're going to have to work really hard. You're not going to see reward for a long time, but you still have to work for it. And then also, sometimes you're going to work for something really, really hard, and you're going to give it your all, and you're still going to lose and come up short, and you're going to have to deal with that. And they don't know how to deal with that. And then it turns to, well, I'm not the problem. Everybody else must be the problem. No, you are the problem. You are the problem. Your mindset's the problem.
But I think they were also victims in that because they came up in this world where I remember I had a pair of shoes. That was it. And it was Walmart. If it fit us, if it was the right, like, you get what you get, and you don't get upset, kind of thing.
Hand-me-downs from my cousins.
Yeah, it's just there was no Amazon, there wasn't DoorDash and all these instant things. Even my daughter, she's 8, she could not one day my Apple CarPlay went out and something else was going on and I could only listen to the radio. She was like, can you please put on Roar by Katy Perry or whatever? And I was like, I can't just like put on a song right now. And she's like, I don't understand what you're saying. Like, what are you talking?
Yeah.
Like, it's just it's FM.
You're talking
just
nonsense.
like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Could you, I tell that to Abby, it's frustrating. It's like, could you imagine? I couldn't imagine. Maybe that's on me and my mindset is that I've been doing jiu-jitsu 21 years. People that are just at their second belt level, maybe blue belt, maybe halfway to purple belt, they've been doing jiu-jitsu maybe 3-4 years. I couldn't have ever imagined going to my black belt whenever I was 3-4 years in and saying, hey, you know what? I think you're wrong. I think I need to be training this. And be like, who the fuck do you think you are? And I've never, that age group, 16 to about 25, 26, I've never seen an age group, and this could just be old man yelling at the sky, right? But so sure about what they know while not knowing fuck all about anything at the same time.
It's a dangerous thing.
You have no life experience.
Yeah.
You've never left this city. Oh, you took a trip here or there. That's great. You have no life experience. And we see it all the time, especially with the younger crowd that, that is so sure about. I see it all the time in fitness is that we all have the same 24 hours a day. The fuck we do? You ain't got no kids. 24 hours. We're lucky if we have maybe 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
The rest of that is serving other people.
Right.
Which is something I think a lot of people could benefit from is learning how to serve other people, not just yourself.
Right.
And I think that's what the hustle mentality, especially in business, has kind of pushed people towards. It's that, I don't give a shit about anyone else or anything as long as my business is profiting so I can go and beat my chest.
I think that has a lot to do with, obviously the way that you're raised. And this could get into a very deep conversation, but
I'm all about it.
Well, like parents are under different hardships now than they were whenever we were growing up. So I came from, my parents were married, are still married. Both parents worked. And so they certainly had their hardships.
Latchkey kids.
I was definitely a latchkey kid. But parenting is different now. It's a very different style of the things that we have to be concerned about as parents. And so it's all very different. So I guess where I'm going with this is that we only saw what our parents told us or what our parents gave us. And so we would see them interact and we could mimic that sort of thing versus now kids see what their parents as just one avenue of what they could mimic. They see, people on social media. They see so much social media stuff, so much movie stuff that they have access to. And they're just influenced by so many other people. So even good parents can have not the grip on their child's behavior than it was whenever we were kids. That's kind of a long way
agree with
around
that.
that.
No, I totally agree with that. We're the first generation of parent kids that don't know what not having technology is like. Like we still know, we remember before computers. We remember before email. I remember before that. We didn't have social media in high school, thank God.
Right.
So like
my Nighttown days. No one needed to document
no one needs to see that on Facebook.
I think what's crazy is that you have this generation that's coming up that thinks that they've got it all figured out, but they don't even realize the trap that they're walking into themselves, and that a lot of the people that we see coming up are so reliant on, I gotta have a script. I gotta have a sales script, or I don't know how to cognitively think because I'm so reliant on AI, Chat GPT, or whatever for all my posts. And it's like, that's all great, but like consumers are going to start to realize, and we can spot it from a mile away. I can tell whenever somebody makes a post and it was Chat GPT generated. And for me, that's an automatic, okay, ignore. This is bullshit.
A computer told me this.
Thank you so much. That this isn't you. You're full of shit. You're just doing whatever the computer told you to put in there. And they're walking into a trap that they don't even know has been set for them, because now you're not even thinking for yourself. You're just regurgitating whatever the AI or the algorithm of your Chat GPT told you to do.
It's very tempting because it seems helpful. It's like a tool, but it
cuts
is
down time.
It really does, but it prevents us from thinking
and practicing thought.
Yeah.
Practicing. You have to practice it. You have
and
to
it's
practice
almost
writing.
training us to just think one way. It's just a regurgitation of whatever the machine says.
And one thing about sales that really turns me off and probably makes me not the best salesperson in the world is that sometimes the answer is just no. You can have the greatest product in the world. If they're not interested, how long am I willing to beat my head on the wall before I get it through my skull? Hey, the answer is no. Because if you have to talk somebody into doing something, especially in a membership-based business that I'm in, you're going to have to talk them into it every month
it's
now.
so yucky. Like, it makes me feel so yucky to do
Yeah,
that.
I'm a terrible salesperson.
Yeah, me too. I'm
Like,
not
this
a
is
good
what I have to offer. Yay.
Do you like
nay.
it? No?
If you like
Okay.
it, all right, let's
Yeah.
go. If you don't, all right, maybe later,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Because if you're not vibing with it, then all I'm going to have to do is now I have to prove myself to you it's like,
Right.
I ain't got to prove myself to anyone.
Yeah. Keep convincing you
You
that
know?
I'm the
Yeah,
person that you're
like-
looking for.
It's like, would you and it's like, instead of a client, let's look at it as a significant other or a spouse. What if you had to convince me to love you every day? How old would that get?
Yeah.
But we're willing to whore ourselves out for fucking dollars and cents at our businesses? Makes no goddamn sense. I'm sorry.
I agree.
That's true. I mean, it's not anything to be sorry about. I want to get back to like dancing with our inner work and how these worlds of, violence, I guess, and peace, how that directly affects everybody, because not everyone listening does sound baths. Not everyone listening is going to do jiu-jitsu, but how can we translate that into all of our worlds?
Well, we all have, I'm going to let y'all answer, but I'm just going to talk for a minute. We all have those, like the times whenever we feel like we're at peace or wanting to be at peace. Maybe we don't exactly know how to get to that. And times whenever we want to be outrageous, like you were talking about punching on people or things.
My husband's my personal punching bag.
Aren't they all?
So, I think we all have that in us as far as like having that dichotomy. That's just part of the human experience. But y'all offer different ways to get to it. So that was just my input.
So I'll tell you a conversation I had with my therapist. So we also, in this world, he deals with a lot of fighters. I started working for a MMA promotion company 10 years ago out of New Orleans. And then one started in Lafayette and we got on board with that one. So we also put on MMA fights. Okay. So for me, there's a lot of balancing that I have to do because number one, I'm around a lot of dudes, a lot of testosterone, a lot of ego. I'm one of few women in this profession. I went to my therapist telling her, I'm finding it really hard to work in that field and also be who I am and stand for the things that I stand for. And so she surprised me and told me that Carl Jung even, right, talks about like Colosseum. Like the reason why they had the Roman Colosseum is to have civil rest because you had a container to put violence into. So if you are feeling, I feel like I could punch somebody, you go watch an MMA fight and you watch two people scrap at it, no holds barred, fighting like someone took their lunch money every day when they were a kid. You feel that viscerally. You get something out of that. And so I was like, okay, I can get behind that. She was like, it's actually like, it's helping the collective by being in a controlled container. And those people that want to be violent have a container, have an outlet, a healthier one than going bar fights downtown at 2:00 in the morning. So that helped me to bridge those two. But also I find a balance in the storytelling of the fighters, because there are some fighters out there that are just all ego and they just want to be what. There are some fighters out there that are, their stories are incredible. They're incredible people. They do this as their outlet, and it's literally just, that's where they feel like they can express themselves in the most freeing way that benefits them physically and psychologically. So I can get behind that because they're doing work. They're doing inner work. I feel like that helps bridge it for me. And I know for my balance, like we just had a fight, so we had a fight 2 weeks ago.
An MMA fight.
An MMA fight. So
They
it was, right.
duked it out 2 weeks
They
ago.
did.
2 weeks
We were the
ago,
main
you
event.
remember?
But it was amazing fights. There were 2 female fights. The difference in watching a female fight and a male fight, because we all know, scientific fact, a female's tolerance of pain is higher because we birth children. I think I've heard him say before how women are easier to teach because they're technical and they listen. They don't question. They just listen. And you can see it in a night like that, because I will go out on a limb and say the 2 most entertaining fights that I felt something were the 2 female fights. The 2 weeks after the fights, I have to be around my girlfriends. I have to have heavy loads of estrogen and girl stuff to combat the very alpha male ego-centered fight world and the weeks leading up to a fight and the job that I have to do leading up to the fight and promoting these guys, telling their stories. That's how I balance it out. And I think he has to do an amount of balance too, because that's his world all the time. Like he doesn't walk away from it except living with just girls. He lives with just girls, so that helps. He has only brothers.
That's not always very relaxing, though.
It helps balance out his yin and yang, I think.
It's a different kind of chaos.
Yeah.
I think from the jiu-jitsu perspective, you have to be willing to fight for your peace. There's got to be, because if you're not fighting for your peace, you're just accepting, whatever you want, and I have a problem with that. I'm a middle child. I'm very go with the flow, where I just I'll sometimes not voice what I want just in order to keep the peace. But I think that's also there's power in saying yes all the time. And not that she ever has to ask for permission to do anything. But one of the things I know is that whenever, just out of courtesy, hey, I'm going to do this with the friends or that, if you say yes a lot, and like I said, I would say yes anyway because I don't have a problem with her doing what she wants to do. But whenever you say yes a lot, it makes your no's carry that much more weight. Whereas if you're always, well, no, I need you at home. It's like, who's gonna do this or that? And it's like, well, then your no's are just combative. They're just, even how many times have I said no?
It's rare.
And
that's why we're still married.
That's a good man.
You have to be willing to fight for your peace, and you're going to have to go through violence. I know there's a saying that I think gets misconstrued sometimes. Is always that this too shall pass. Bad times, this too shall pass. Yeah, it's going to pass, but it might pass like a goddamn kidney stone. And it's going to hurt on the way out, but yeah, it'll pass. And are you willing to withstand that pain, that discomfort to get to what your peace is? Sometimes what you're doing is holding on to maybe a job that's you're not happy there anymore. Holding on, hey, I got to hold on to it for this long so that I can find something else whenever the time's right. Maybe it's hey, I gotta go have this uncomfortable conversation, and I might not be friends with that person anymore afterwards, but at least I'm going to be happier. It's like Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, if you're always, and that's the problem sometimes that I think people misconstrue is whenever you approach somebody for a business or for a need, yes, I do respect the fact that you are my student and you are paying for my services, but that also on the same hand, just because you're paying your monthly fee, or just because I give you my cell phone number to shoot me a text, that does not give you 24-hour access to me. You have to sometimes have those uncomfortable conversations like, well, why didn't you get back to me whenever you text me? Because it was Sunday morning, and Sundays are for my family. And if you can't understand that, you can lose my number. That goes back to what I said earlier. Like, somebody messages my business page on a Saturday night at 7:00. Hey, what are your prices? When can I get signed up? I'm not getting to that till Monday morning. And if you can't understand that, I'll give you the list of every other gym in this town that you can go try. I'm not going to do that. You know,
Well,
sorry.
Boundaries.
Fiercely protecting your boundaries is the only way to be happy.
If you don't respect your time, nobody else will. Bottom line.
Yeah.
Same thing with your boundaries. If you don't respect your own boundaries, how can you expect anybody else to?
Fiercely fighting for peace. I love it. How do you guys support each other whenever I mean, y'all are both coming from very different mindsets. Like, how do y'all support each other whenever you have a stressful situation, like not work related, but having everything that you know from your world and all your spiritual journey? How does that come up at home?
I think we just let each other talk. We just listen. We don't try and fix.
Yeah,
That's a big part
communication
of
is
it.
key.
A big part. And I say, people ask us, how long y'all been together? Or whatever. And I'm like, we're still married for 3 reasons. 3 now. It was 2, but since you don't say no a lot, that's the 3rd one. But he makes me laugh every day. He makes me laugh every day. That's one of them. And he is an excellent communicator. He was in college for criminal justice when we met. He was 19. I was in grad school. He wrote so well that the English professors approached him and told him, we think that you need to change your major to English and do technical writing. Those communication, and I know that I'm not the best at it because I let things run a lot. I kind of don't. He's very good at reining things in and being like, okay, let's look at the situation. Let's zoom in on this. And I'm like, there's a situation. I'm like, but this and this and this and this and this. And it gets bigger and bigger. And then the world and gestures broadly and all the things. But he's very good at like, I guess, I feel like it could be attributed to some Matt space of like, let's break it down to this. What are we doing about this right now? What can we do about this right now? Is it something that we can fix? Is it something that we can work better toward? Is it something that you can fix your mindset about? So I feel like he grounds me in that way. And that really helps whenever I'm like full-fledged flailing off the handle, emotional about things.
Say that 10 times fast.
I just try and be the leader that I know that I need. And I've been around leaders, employers, coaches, whatever, that whenever somebody makes a mistake, it's like, I can't believe you did this. Now this, and this. And then I mean, how could you be so foolish? And, like, I can't believe this happened. And now look at what I got to do. Whereas I'm the type of guy, somebody makes a mistake. Fuck. Okay. What are we going to do to fix this problem now? Because me beating you up verbally is not fixing the problem. It's not. All it's doing, honestly, is it's making me fucking hate you. And I don't, you know what? Go sit in your shit. Yeah, I made this problem. Good. You go fucking fix it, asshole. Instead of, and excuse my language, but it's instead of, man, okay, shit. Okay, what can we do now?
I like how you said we. What can we do?
It's like that's how you lead. Leadership isn't telling people what to do. Leadership is being right there with them, helping them do it. And then being right there with them to the point where you can choose to step away and let them be on their own, but come back from time to time just to be like, hey, look, I'm helping with this. I'm in this. I got other things going too, but I see you working. I'm right here with you. Keep up the good work. I can't tell you how often, just hey, I see you. Good work. I appreciate you. I see business owners all the time that could give a fuck about their business. Just as long as it's making money. And that's not a viable way to run a business. Sometimes I think you have to be seen in that business. People need to see who the leader is, which is why whenever I'm at the gym, I'm running majority of the classes now, but like last night, my last class, I got done teaching at 7:30. MMA took over from 7:30 to 8:30. It would have been really easy for me, who at that point just ran 4 classes back to back to back, which is really hard if you don't know, to just be like, shit, I'm done. I'm going home, dip out. No, I made it a point to go onto the mat, shake each one of my students' hands. That was with my instructor. Told my instructor, hey, look, hey, great job, big class. If you need anything, just give me a call. I'm gonna head out though. Hey, keep up the good work. And I do that every night before I leave. If I have time, whenever I cut my kids' classes loose, I go wait by the door And I tell the kids bye. I shake the parents' hands and tell them thank you for showing up. I think keeping people, you don't have to necessarily always pay people to keep them around. You don't have to pay them currency. You just have to pay them an appreciation.
I think that lends to what you said earlier, how I think people are opening up to like, we need human communication. Like we need more people in spaces about people, not profit.
Like getting away from this like virtual life. We've become so online, and we are desperately craving that in person.
I think it goes to being seen. And to get back to what your question is that I see her, she sees me. I can see her struggle, but also recognize that I don't have to be the hero to every one of her problems, because sometimes I need to let her figure it out. Not because I'm lazy or don't want to help, but because I see that she has it in her. She just needs to build the confidence and the only way she's going to build confidence is by her doing it. If I come in and take care of everything, well then, not only I fix the problem, but I think on some level that's probably going to make her feel like, man, I had to, I couldn't do it. Somebody had to come and do it for me again.
Well, it takes away the ability for somebody to be able to recognize that they have the confidence and the courage to be able to do something that they felt was uncomfortable.
I think the best way too as a leader is to not encourage or give praise whenever somebody succeeds, but also I think far too often we value, and maybe that's a Western thought too, is sometimes we need to appreciate and recognize the effort even when the effort falls short.
Absolutely.
Because if the only time somebody feels worth is whenever they succeed, you're going to fail a lot more than you're going to succeed in this life. And it's people, I think people need that reassurance that, hey, it's okay to fail. I'm about to put on a tournament at my gym this weekend. And while I love putting on tournaments, the one thing I absolutely hate about tournaments is that we're going to have some competitors that are going to be about 8, 9, 10 years old, and they're going to lose. And not only that, they're going to feel like absolute trash. Why? Because their coaches are going to be, like, oh my God, I can't believe you did this. And, the dad who, mind you, doesn't train, but is living vicariously through the son. I can't believe you couldn't get out of there. That other kid whooped up on you. It's like, what are we trying to teach here? Are we trying to teach a skill set? Because competition is a vital part of building a skill set where both failure and success play a pivotal role. Some days you're the hammer, some days you're the nail, but you need both a hammer and a nail to build a house. And, a lot of these parents, they don't understand. That's the worst part of youth sports is the overzealous parent. And we have a great group at Gladiators of parents that understand failure is part of the process. They let the coaches coach. And really, we sometimes we have to remind them, the only thing you should tell your child whenever they're done doing any kind of endeavor, whether it's academic, athletic, artistic, and it's a competition, is, man, I tell that to Lucy, our daughter, even when she loses, it makes me so happy to watch you play volleyball. I'm so glad you get to do that. And I just never understood why we have parents that act like their kid just, lost the world championship match at a local tournament at a gym right up the road, where I went to my daughter's volleyball game. They lost by, 6 or 7 points. And at the end of it, everybody's like, hey, great job. No big deal. Nobody's not going to eat because you lost, It's just that's one part of the combat sport world that I just absolutely despise.
We've talked about dichotomy a lot, that when someone wins, someone also loses. Right. And so we have to be able to recognize and celebrate both parts of it, because when you lose, you're not failing, you're just learning.
You're learning.
You're learning what didn't work.
You don't lose.
Like
that's what we tell Lucy.
Learning how to lose gracefully is a whole art.
That's a skill set in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that Western thought I was talking about, because whenever you start to study like martial arts overseas, especially in Japanese culture, is that even whenever you win, if you're disrespectful in the process of winning, you celebrate too early. That's worse. That's worse. There is, while we never strive for losing or defeat, there is honor in defeat. And it's like, oh yeah, if you're not first, if second place is just the first loser. It's like, okay, asshole. Like, all right, and we same thing you said. One of the it's mathematics. After the first round of a tournament, 50% of the people who signed up are going home. It's just the way it is, And if you can't handle that, I got some bad news for life, because you're going to come up short in a lot of areas of life that aren't competition focused. There are some days where I think I'm saying the right thing to make her feel better, and it's not. It's the wrong thing. Vice versa. There's some days where I think I cooked a great meal and my daughter was like, I don't like this. It's okay.
It's the worst kind of failure.
But, and also, and I think the thing at the end of the day too, is that all these people that, yachts, boats, my net value, all this other good stuff. Guess what, dude? You're going to die one day and you're going to be on the ground and nobody's going to give a fuck about you anymore. A lot of people talk about legacy. People talk enough shit about me while I'm alive. They're going to talk even more shit when I'm dead. I don't give a fuck about my legacy. I answer to two people in this life. That's my wife and my daughter. Those are the only people that I have to answer to for my actions. Everybody else, I don't care. I don't.
Yeah, definitely. Making your life, I think the legacy that people do leave, it's the people that love you. Like, how are they going to think of you and what kind of life you led? Before we let you go, we always ask our guests one very important question: is what does living vividly mean to you?
I feel like living vividly is living authentically, living genuinely. And I think people feel that. People can feel that about people. You can feel fakeness. You can feel if they're not passionate about what they're doing. You can feel. I wear my feelings on my sleeve. I feel like everybody can feel what I feel because I make them feel it. But I think living authentically, if there's anything that I've learned in my time so far, if you're living authentically for yourself, then the things around you will fall into place. Because if you're just constantly masking and trying to fit into these groups, and then you have to get home and re-energize from the masking, and that's not authentic. And then what you gave those people wasn't authentic either, because you were masking the whole time. So nothing's real.
Yeah.
So let's just can we all just be real? Sure. Unzip my skin suit. Let's just all be real. Living authentically to me is living vividly.
I agree with that. Not having to put on.
You don't put on?
Yeah, no.
How do you really feel, Jared?
The pressure of trying to be. That it's letting go of the pressure of trying to be what you think everybody else thinks you should be, and just being who you are. Whether that is, perfect or imperfect. I actually appreciate, and I've done trial work before too. Before I did Jiu Jitsu, I worked for a trial attorney here in town, and one thing that resonated with juries more often than not was a client who was imperfect versus trying to put a client out there who did everything right and this awful accident happened to them and they had the perfect life. No, people don't resonate with that. Why? Because at the end of the day, we all know we're imperfect and we all have shit that we're hiding. And whenever we expose those flaws, that's what makes you relatable. Perfection isn't relatable. Nobody's perfect. Imperfection is relatable. And whenever you're able to kind of drop that facade that you have it all figured out, that's what people gravitate to. Somebody who's not scared to say, hey, you know what? I don't know, but guess what? We're going to figure this out together. Let's go. People are much more willing to follow that person than the person that's always going to be telling you, because there's a couple red flags that show me somebody's not living vividly or authentically. And that is, if in every situation where something had to change, everybody else was the problem, but it was never you, I got bad news for you. And then the other one is anybody that's going to sit there and tell me, well, that's cool, but I know I'm right or I'm more correct and here's why. No, just no. You have no idea what works for me. You're basing that I know better off of your experience, not mine. And I think sometimes it took me a long time to learn, and that's especially dealing with relationships with significant others, is sometimes it's just best to just sit there and listen, because that's all they want is for you to listen. Not interject how you feel. And I think once you're able to kind of, live without having to try and put on to try and be who you need me to be, I think that's whenever you're living vividly and authentically.
Thanks for listening to Living Vividly. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review and subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. For more resources and details from today's discussion, check out the show notes. Until next time, keep living vividly.